Good afternoon and welcome to Bitesize News. 3 French sports stars were killed in a helicopter crash during the filming of a reality TV show. Olympians Camille Moufat, Alexis Facine and yachtswoman Florence Artaud were among 10 people killed when 2 helicopters collided in Argentina yesterday. French President Francis Hollande said, "The sudden death of our French nationals is a cause of immense sadness." Bill Cosby finally breaks the silence after 3 months under the radar due to sexual assault allegations against him. The comedian released a video to fans inviting them to his upcoming show in West Virginia. Cosby has denied all claims against him, though over 30 women have accused him of drugging and raping them. The Queen opened up her home to the new president of Sri Lanka today. The president visited Buckingham Palace with his wife at his side. He took office in January this year and also visited a Commonwealth service at Westminster Abbey on his visit to London. Brit Award winner Ed Sheeran revealed the cost of his fame by revealing a letter from a young Korean fan that reads, "You are ugly, but I love you." The 24-year-old singer, who has bravely revealed being bullied about his looks in school, found the humour in the honesty and captioned the Instagram post, "God bless Korea." A reverential speech was delivered by rapper Lonnie Lin, also known as Common, and singer John Legend as they received their Academy Award for their song Glory from the film Selma. They gave an emotional speech that highlighted the struggle and the fight for African Americans in politics was not over. And here with me today I have Jessica Hagan. Jessica Hagan is a student at SOAS University. She studies law. So, Jessica Hagan, in regards to Common and John Legend's speech at the Grammy Awards, in reference to black people or people of colour not necessarily being free from things that happened in Selma, like in terms of the votes, in terms of the political struggle they still go through. Do you think this is true?
Yeah, I completely agree. I do have to say that as we are in England, more specifically London, our struggle isn't quite the same as in America, but there are places that we can most definitely identify. So I do believe that we aren't freed yet, and we are still chained in areas in which we were still chained prior to slavery being abolished and the civil rights movement occurring. I just think that the racism and the segregation is a lot more internalised, so it's harder for us to identify because it's not as outright as it was 60 years ago, 400 years ago, etc.
Okay. And how do you think this is evident in the law system, not only in America, but in the UK?
Okay, so if we look at the legal system now and we look at the amount of black boys specifically in prison now compared to the amount of white boys in prison now, I can't give you statistics as I don't have anything with me, but it's evidently higher. If we look at America, as John Legend was saying in his speech, there are a lot more black men, I should say, that are incarcerated than there were black slaves, which is absolutely shocking. He actually got that statistic from a book, and what that book actually says is that there are a lot more black men who are in prison on probation or in some type of contract with the police in which they have to report back to the police, and there are a lot of black men who are more involved with the police now being a criminal than there were people enslaved, which is scary and absolutely horrendous. It's the same in London. There are frequently more and more black men who are being arrested, who are being put in jail, who are on suspended sentences than there were prior. Now people are saying these days, oh well, these black boys are just misbehaving. Of course you're going to get in trouble if you misbehave. But the issue is that the circumstances in which these black men are growing in is what cultivates this violence. And these circumstances in which they have grown in are at no particular fault of our own. If we look at America and we look at the projects and we look at the crack epidemic in the 80s, nobody asked to be raised in the projects. It wasn't something that we we had the decision to make. At the end of the day, during even 40 years ago, the jobs that we had were not sufficient enough for us to make a great enough earning that we could be living in the suburbs with all the other white people. So naturally, we had to go to the projects, otherwise we'd be on the projects, otherwise we'd be on the streets. So it's like, we came from slavery to not really having the same rights, to being forced into these horrendous living areas where we have this dog-eat-dog mentality and we're always watching our backs. Naturally, we're going to be paranoid. Naturally, we're going to resort to a life of crime because we're trying to get as much money as we can to be like the person who had it easy. So whilst I say that, yes, it is a responsibility of us to now realise we can't react that way, we can't necessarily blame people for thinking that is the right thing to do, considering their circumstances.
Great. And you are a undergrad student studying law at the School of Oriental and African
and Oriental Studies, yes.
That's the one. And how do you hope your law degree will help you or put you on a platform to be able to tackle these issues or be able to speak on these issues and really make a change?
That's a very, very good question. So the initial reason that I wanted to do a law degree was because I wanted to learn about the legal system. I didn't want to talk about a system and how it was disadvantageous to black men or black women without really understanding how it works and really understanding how it runs. And I was very interested in law and I wanted to do criminal law initially, but that has now changed. So that's why I wanted to get a law degree. I really wanted to understand the system. With this law degree, I wanted to go to SOAS because I wanted to learn about African legal systems. Because prior to colonisation and the infiltration specifically of the British, the way in which Africans dealt with criminal disputes was significantly different to how it's done now. Significantly different in the sense that it was very conflict and resolution. The punishment, there was punishment, but prison is a very, very British thing. It's a very, very English thing, Anglo-Saxon thing that was brought into Africa. And I really wanted to understand African legal systems prior to that and see how that helped people to, you know, to commit a crime and not commit it again. We have massive reoffenders in this country, people that are reoffending daily, people that even want to go back to prison. And so with this degree, I intend to understand legal systems everywhere so that the resolution can be effective, so that we can come up with a resolution that isn't designed to help, but really, really, really does help. Not just black boys and black men, but everyone, but more specifically black men, because that is where the issue predominantly lies.
All right, thank you very much, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Hagan. That's all from me with Bitesize News, so take care and see you again. Good afternoon.